A brazen tourist, convinced his status and money granted him the right to mock tradition, crossed the sacred line, both figuratively and literally. When he tossed a bottle at a stoic royal guard, the silent protector unleashed a thunderous command that stunned the crowd into silence. What followed was an unexpected act of defiance and honor that not only humbled the tourist but left everyone questioning their own respect for centuries-old traditions. And this was only the beginning of the day's revelations. It was a crisp morning in London, and the city bustled with its characteristic energy. The sun peeked through the scattered clouds, casting golden rays onto the majestic facade of Buckingham Palace. The imposing gates gleamed under the light, their intricate design a testament to British craftsmanship. Tourists gathered in clusters, some snapping photos, others chattering animatedly in various languages. The air smelled faintly of freshly brewed coffee and roasted chestnuts from nearby street vendors. A light breeze carried the occasional sound of a street musician playing a violin near the park, adding a melodic undertone to the lively scene. Amid this lively scene stood James, a young royal guard in his late 20s. At 6 feet tall, his imposing figure was accentuated by the red tunic and black bearskin hat. His pale skin and light brown hair, neatly cropped under the hat, gave him a youthful but resolute appearance. His expression was unreadable, his steel-gray eyes fixed straight ahead, exuding the discipline and composure demanded by his role. Despite the constant noise of the crowd, he maintained a serene stillness, a stark contrast to the chaotic energy around him. James's posture was perfect, his arms rigidly at his sides, his white-gloved hands gripping the polished rifle slung over his shoulder. The ceremonial uniform he wore, crimson jacket with gold buttons and a white belt, contrasted sharply with the casual attire of the tourists around him. Children pointed at him in awe, while some adults tried to coax a reaction with exaggerated gestures and silly faces. A group of teenagers took selfies nearby, their laughter punctuated by excited chatter. Among the crowd, a tall, middle-aged man with a booming voice stood out. His Hawaiian shirt, sunglasses perched on his head, and cargo shorts screamed "tourist." Laughing loudly, he gestured toward James, saying, "Hey, mate, crack a smile. It won't hurt you." The crowd chuckled nervously, their eyes darting between the tourist and the unflinching guard. James remained stoic, his training overriding any impulse to respond. Nearby, a street vendor shouted, advertising hot tea and pastries to passers-by. The sound of clicking cameras filled the air as more tourists joined the gathering throng. A young woman in a flowing dress paused to sketch the scene, her pencil scratching softly against her sketch pad. The atmosphere was a mixture of reverence and frivolity, with most respecting the guard's presence while a few, like the loud tourist, saw him as part of the entertainment. The scene unfolded like a dance of contrasts, the disciplined stillness of the guard against the restless movement of the crowd. The tourist's antics continued, but James's silence seemed to irritate him, setting the stage for what was about to escalate. The sun climbed higher, bathing the scene in a warm glow, but the air seemed charged with tension. The tourist, emboldened by the laughter of his companions, stepped closer to the guard. The crisp white line on the cobblestone pavement marked the boundary tourists were not to cross. Ignoring it, the man took a deliberate step forward, his shadow falling over the line as if challenging the sanctity of the space. "What's the matter, stiff? Cat got your tongue?" he jeered, his sunglasses glinting in the sunlight. His companions, a mix of men and women in casual summer attire, egged him on with cheers and laughter. One of them pulled out a smartphone to record the interaction, hoping to capture a viral moment. James remained motionless, though a flicker of tension was visible in his jawline. The tourists in the crowd began murmuring, some pulling out their phones to capture the unfolding scene. A child's voice broke the murmur, whispering, "Why is that man being mean?" to his mother, who hushed him. Another tourist, a woman with a wide-brimmed hat, muttered, "Someone should stop him." The man's antics escalated. He bent down, picked up an empty plastic water bottle from the ground, and, with a smirk, tossed it toward James. The bottle hit the cobblestones with a hollow thud, rolling to rest at the guard's feet. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. James's eyes shifted imperceptibly, fixing briefly on the bottle before returning to their unwavering gaze. Then, breaking his stillness, he took a single, deliberate step forward and bellowed, "Step away from the guard line!" The command rang out like a thunderclap, startling everyone. The tourist stumbled back, his bravado crumbling under the sudden display of authority. The atmosphere grew heavy with tension. The crowd, now silent, watched as the man hesitated, his cheeks flushed with embarrassment. He retreated a few steps, mumbling under his breath. A few onlookers clapped quietly while others whispered words of approval. James, resuming his post, stood as steadfast as before, but the energy around him had irrevocably shifted. The tourists' companions tried to laugh off the incident, but their discomfort was palpable. A young couple near the scene exchanged glances, their faces reflecting a mix of awe and unease. The murmurs of the crowd grew louder as people discussed what they had just witnessed. The buzz of smartphones capturing the moment was nearly constant, ensuring that this event would live far beyond the palace gates. The tension in the air began to dissipate, but the crowd's focus remained locked on the guard and the retreating tourist. As the man shuffled awkwardly back into the throng, an elderly figure stepped forward from the crowd. He was a veteran, evident from the neatly pressed blazer adorned with military medals and a regimental tie. His weathered face, framed by silver hair, held an expression of quiet authority. "Young man," the veteran's voice cut through the murmurs, addressing the tourist directly, "do you have any idea whom you've just disrespected?" The tourist froze, his face reddening further. "I was just having a bit of fun," he muttered defensively. "Fun?" the veteran echoed, his voice firm. "This man represents centuries of tradition and service. He's not a statue for your amusement." The crowd murmured in agreement, some nodding, others offering verbal affirmations. A woman near the veteran spoke up, saying, "It's about respect. We're guests here." James, though silent, subtly shifted his stance, his gaze briefly meeting the veteran's in a moment of mutual acknowledgement. The guard's stoicism was a testament to his discipline, but the presence of the veteran seemed to bolster his resolve. The tourist mumbled an apology and quickly blended back into the crowd, his earlier arrogance replaced with visible discomfort. The veteran turned to the gathered onlookers and said, "Let this be a reminder. These guards stand here not for show, but for duty. Let's show them the respect they deserve." The crowd erupted into applause, their appreciation directed at both the veteran and the steadfast guard. The applause swelled as others joined in, creating a moment of solidarity. The elderly veteran, standing with quiet dignity, nodded to the crowd and took a step back. The tourists, now visibly more respectful, began to disperse, their conversations now subdued. By the time the afternoon sun began to dip, casting long shadows across the cobblestones, the incident was already making waves. Someone in the crowd had captured the entire scene on video, and within hours, it was trending online. The video, titled "Tourist Gets Put in His Place by Royal Guard," garnered thousands of views and comments. James's stoic demeanor and the veteran's intervention became symbols of resilience and respect. Comments poured in, praising the guard's professionalism and the veteran's wisdom. "This is why traditions matter," one user wrote. "Respect should never go out of style," said another. Meanwhile, back at the barracks, James removed his bearskin hat, revealing a sheen of sweat on his brow. His fellow guards offered nods of acknowledgement as he recounted the day's events. Though his training had prepared him for situations like this, the support from the veteran and the crowd had left a lasting impression. Outside, the city continued its vibrant rhythm. Tourists came and went, the palace gates standing as a silent witness to it all. James, now off duty, walked past the gates and into the city, carrying with him not just the weight of his uniform, but the pride of upholding a legacy cherished by many. The story, shared far and wide, became a reminder of the importance of respect, not just for the traditions and symbols of a nation, but for the individuals who dedicate their lives to preserving them. And as the video continued to circulate, it sparked conversations about the balance between tourism and reverence, ensuring that such lessons would not be easily forgotten.